Welcome to Poppy's Workshop. Today we're going to be doing a quick tip on how I prepare the blades. I'd like to give a little bit of a caveat in the beginning is that when it comes to any tips, they happen to be my way. They may or may not be the way other people do it, but they work for me. So you may look at my tips and try them and say, ew, this doesn't work for me. That's okay. You're going to take tips from many different people and then decide what works for you. You may use 100% of what I'm saying, 99%, 50%, 0%. That's okay. But at least now you're going to get an idea how other people do it. Now, I do things a certain way because I'm very process oriented. I follow the same steps every time. So hopefully that will yield me the same results every time. I have a favorite saying is practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So what I want to do is I want to repeat nothing but the good steps, the good processes to give me good results. If you practice bad habits, for example, well, you're going to always repeat the bad habits. So we want good habits. So let's start preparing the blade here. Now, one of the things that I do just to help it hold into the chuck a little bit better is I scuff both sides, left and right, top and bottom of the blade, and I'm just using an old knife sharpening stone, a whetstone. You can use sandpaper, really anything that's rough, you can use. Now I'm going to mount it next, and you'll notice that I have the tensioning lever in the tensioned on position, and the reason why I do that is the way that I'm seated right now. I can see the top of the blade screw, and I want to line the top of my blade with the top of the screw. Now again, this is what works for me to give me repeatable results, and depending on your setup, this is an Excalibur with a Pegasus chuck, you may have something else. So you may say, oh, I've got to do it in the middle of the screw or at the bottom. You'll find, again, what works for you. So let me feed this through and make sure I got the blade facing the right direction here. So let me get my hand out of the way. So I'm going to take the top of the blade here and go to the top of the screw there. And just lightly tighten, because I'm going to be untightening that in a moment. Now, remember, and I've forgotten many times, put the blade in the off tension position, for lack of a better word. So now the blade goes down. We're going to tighten. I think I just missed. Yeah, wait a second here. There we go. We're going to tighten it into the bottom chuck. I'll make sure I got that there. And I'm going to go, wow, I missed. I pulled it out as I was talking. There we go. I just felt it slide in. Okay, so now you'll notice there's a slight bend to it. So what I do next is I loosen this up and I just give a slight pull. Again, you'll figure out how much to pull up to give yourself a little pre-tension. And then I can feel as I'm pulling this in, pushing this into the tension position, I've got the feel down. So I know what it feels like here, and then I know what it feels like here. Yep, I think that sounds about right. Now, the next thing that I like to do is I'll, again, take my sharpening stone and I will activate my saw at a, somewhat slow speed and just lightly kind of soften the edges like that. The idea behind that is as you go through the wood and you need to back up, by smoothing the edges just a little bit, kind of dulling that 90 degree, that helps you slide back a little bit. With thicker wood in particular, or stack cutting, it becomes very important. Now, You don't have to do this super often, but I tend to do a quick check. So I have a machinist square, a nice small one. And in particular, if I'm doing stack cutting, I just throw it here and I'm looking and it's touching from top to bottom. See if I can show it here. Let me zoom in, and if you can see, I've got it at an angle. So, not really. You can't really tell. But I make sure that I have my blade perfectly square. Now let's zoom back out here. I want you to be able to see everything that I'm doing here. Put that back. So I want to make sure that this is perfectly square. This is very important when doing puzzles, for example. You want to make sure that if you don't have it perfectly straight and you're doing a puzzle, they're not going to slide in and out top and bottom. You want to be able to drop a piece from the bottom, pop it from the top, so it's just smooth all the way through. Same thing when you're doing stack cutting. You want to have identical pieces. So if you're stack cutting, say, 3 half-inch pieces or 4 quarter-inch pieces, by having this perpendicular to the cutting deck, you're going to have identical cuts. So the final step, actually I kind of did it, is I will run it just for a couple seconds. I will check, yep, it's tensioned properly. I'll double check top and bottom that my set screws are in, that my blade is secure, and I'm ready to rock and roll. There you go. That's a tip of how Poppy prepares his blades for cutting. And you'll find that you can do that very, very quickly. It takes me maybe a minute to do that. And so this is one of those you can pay me now or you can pay me later kind of things. But I know every time I follow these steps, my blade will be the same all the time. And that's it. May the Lord richly bless you and make it a great day right here at Poppy's Workshop.